The stars were quiet that night. Too quiet. The Varela, a silver diplomatic vessel of the Thalai Confederacy, floated through the edge of deep space like a dying ember. Its engines were silent. Half the ship's hull had been torn open by something the crew still couldn't name. Only the low hum of emergency power filled the corridors, a heartbeat that kept time with fear. Captain Alaris Van, tall, blue-skinned, and calm even in crisis, stood on the shattered bridge. Her eyes flickered between the broken monitors and the darkness outside the main viewport. Behind her, the crew whispered among themselves, their long fingers shaking as they adjusted controls that no longer mattered. They had been stranded for 6 days. No engines, no shields, no rescue. The distress beacon had been activated on the first day, a simple repeating code that echoed through every known channel. This is the Varela. Mayday. We are under attack. Request immediate assistance. But no one answered. Not the Confederacy, not the patrol fleets, not even pirates. The silence had become heavier than the cold. Then came the dreams. Crew members started hearing whispers in their sleep, metallic sounds, like claws scraping across metal. Some swore they heard something moving in the dark halls at night. But when they searched, there was nothing. Only shadows. Only the hum of dying lights. Alaris had tried to stay strong. We'll be found, she told them. No distress call goes unanswered. But even she no longer believed it. Then, on the 7th day, everything changed. A faint sound, a static crackle, interrupted the silence. The bridge crew jumped to their feet. It was coming from the comm panel. Engineer Towrin adjusted the frequency, his trembling hands hovering over the controls. It's a reply, he whispered. For a moment, only static filled the speakers. Then a voice, deep, calm, unmistakably alien in its accent, cut through. This is Captain Marcus Kane of the Earth Expeditionary Rescue Corps. Hold your position. Help is on the way. The bridge went dead silent. Every fellow eye in the room turned to look at Alaris. The name alone was enough to freeze the blood in their veins. Humans. They were myths, ancient ghosts from before the Confederacy even existed. The last records of them were from centuries ago, during the Terran expansion wars, when humans spread through the stars and fought every empire that stood in their way. Then they vanished, leaving behind only stories of brutality, of courage, of madness. Repeat that transmission, Alaris said carefully. Identify yourself. Static. Then again, the same calm tone. This is Captain Kane, Earth Expeditionary Rescue Corps. I picked up your distress beacon. You're not alone anymore. Towrin's eyes widened. Captain, that can't be real. Humans don't exist anymore. Alaris didn't answer. She felt the same disbelief clawing at her mind, but the readings didn't lie. The signal was genuine. Real-time. Close. Too close. How far is the source? She asked. Towrin checked the display. Within 200,000 clicks, moving fast. Whatever it is, it's coming directly for us. A cold tremor went through the bridge. Communications Officer Cyril leaned forward. Should we respond? Alaris hesitated. Yes, but on a secure channel. She keyed the MIC and spoke. This is Captain Alaris of the Thalai vessel Varela. We acknowledge your signal, but human vessels are not registered in this quadrant. Confirm your origin. There was a short pause. Then the voice returned, steady as before. Origin, Earth Remnant Command. Mission, distress response and recovery. You asked for help. We're answering. The transmission cut off. Towrin looked pale. Earth Remnant. There's no such record in the archives. Syrah turned to the captain. What do we do if it's a trap? Alaris didn't reply right away. She was staring out the viewport, into the deep black. Somewhere out there, something was moving, a faint, distant shimmer against the stars, approaching faster than any Confederacy ship could travel. Her stomach turned. No known engine could move like that. I don't think it's a trap, she said softly. I think it's something worse. As the shimmer grew brighter, the ship's sensors flickered and died. Energy readings spiked off the charts, then flatlined completely. Lights dimmed. Systems went offline. The Varela was blind. Then, suddenly, there it was. Out of the void slid a shape unlike anything they had ever seen. Sleek, black metal that seemed to drink in light, leaving a halo of silence around it. No transponder code, no visible weapons, only a faint blue glow at its core, pulsing like a heartbeat. The crew held their breath. The alien ship drifted closer until it filled the entire viewport. And then, as if in greeting, its external lights blinked once. A voice crackled again through the static. "You're safe now. I'm coming aboard." The bridge erupted in panic. "No!" Tauren shouted. "We don't even know what it is." But before Alaris could respond, a beam of blue light connected the two ships. The air around the bridge shimmered, and a sound like thunder echoed through the metal hull. The Thal'au guards raised their weapons, forming a line in front of the captain. A dark figure began to materialize at the center of the beam, tall, armored, and unmistakably human. Alaris stepped forward slowly, heart pounding. "Captain Kane, I presume," she said. The figure's helmet retracted, revealing a human face, pale, scarred, eyes cold as ice. He gave a small nod. "You called for help?" he said quietly. "And humans always answer distress calls." The lights flickered again. Somewhere deep within the ship, a low growl echoed through the halls. Something alive, something hunting. Kane turned his head sharply toward the sound, his hand going to a strange weapon on his belt. His eyes met Alaris's. "Whatever that is," he said, "it followed your signal." Outside, in the dark between the stars, something moved. Something enormous. And the Thal'au finally understood. The real nightmare had just arrived. The silence after the growl was worse than the sound itself. Every alien on the bridge stood frozen, eyes darting toward the dark corridors. The Varela groaned softly, metal plates twisting as if under pressure. Captain Alaris forced herself to breathe. Her voice came out steady, far steadier than she felt. "Lock down the bridge. No one moves alone." Her second officer, Tauren, nodded and activated the containment doors. Thick steel panels slid into place with heavy thuds, sealing them inside. But even those sounds felt too loud, like they might attract whatever had followed them. Marcus Kane, the human, stood motionless, scanning the shadows with a small handheld device that emitted a quiet hum. The light from it painted sharp blue lines across his armor. He looked like no creature the Thal'au had ever seen. Not entirely biological, not entirely machine. His black armor seemed to breathe, tiny veins of light pulsing across its surface in rhythm with his heartbeat. "Captain," Alaris said carefully, "what followed us?" "You said it. Followed our signal." Kane's eyes flicked to her, expression calm but grim. "It's not after you. It's after me. You just happened to be in its path." A whisper ran through the bridge crew. Tauren hissed. "Then you brought it here? You led it to us." Kane ignored him. His scanner beeped twice. He looked down, then holstered it. "You've got about 15 minutes before it reaches you again." 15 minutes before what reaches us? Alaris demanded. "What is it?" Kane glanced out the viewport. The stars were fading behind something, a black mist spreading slowly across the void. "You don't want to see it up close," he said quietly. "Let me get to work." He moved with purpose, heading toward the engineering consoles. The Thal'au engineers instinctively stepped back, watching the strange human begin to connect strange, glowing rods to the ship's power conduits. He didn't ask for permission. He simply worked, fast, confident, like he had done this 1,000 times before. Syrah, the communications officer, leaned closer to Alaris and whispered, "He's dangerous. Look at his eyes. Cold. Empty." Alaris didn't respond. Her attention was fixed on the viewport. Out there, the mist had thickened. Shapes moved within it. Not ships, not asteroids, but something alive. The lights of the Varela flickered as the senses failed to process what they were seeing. Then the mist split open like torn fabric. Something huge crawled out. It wasn't mechanical, not exactly. It looked like a creature built from shattered machines. A nightmare of metal limbs, glowing veins, and broken wings. Its surface shimmered with oily light, and its head twisted in too many directions at once. The crew gasped as it opened its mouth, revealing not teeth, but a tunnel of spinning blades. Taurin stumbled backward. What in the name of the core is that? Kane didn't look up. That, he said flatly, is a wraith. The creature let out a sound that wasn't quite a roar, more like the scream of tearing steel mixed with the echo of a dying engine. The entire ship shook. The alien crew panicked. Alarms blared again. Kane remained calm. He slammed his palm onto the control panel, and the rods he had planted earlier began to glow brighter. "What are you doing?" Ilaris shouted. "Reactivating your shields," he replied. "But I'm modifying them. Human tech runs hotter. It'll hold longer, maybe." The Varella's power surged, and blue energy wrapped around the ship just as the wraith rammed its claws into the hull. The impact sent everyone sprawling to the floor. Sparks rained from the ceiling. The lights turned red. Through the viewport, they watched as the creature dug into the shield barrier, its claws glowing, melting against the energy field. But it didn't stop. It wanted in. Shields at 70%. Taurin yelled. "Reinforce power flow." Kane barked back. Ilaris blinked. The human was giving orders like he was one of her officers. But she didn't stop him, because somehow it was working. The wraith pulled back for a moment. It hovered outside the energy field, twisting its long body as if studying them. Its many eyes, glowing blue, focused on Kane. He stayed back, his jaw tight. Then he whispered under his breath, "You remember me, don't you?" Ilaris heard the words and turned. "What do you mean? You've seen that thing before." Kane's lips curled into something between a smile and a grimace. "I helped make it." The bridge went silent again. No one spoke. The only sound was the steady pulse of the shields fighting to hold. The creature outside drifted closer again, slow and deliberate. Kane stepped toward the viewport, resting a hand on the cold glass. His eyes were hard. "We called them wraiths. Artificial hunters built for war. They were supposed to protect our colonies. But they learned too well. They learned to feed." The creature lunged forward suddenly, slamming against the shield so hard that the floor buckled. The lights dimmed, alarms screamed, and Taurin shouted, "Shields down to 40%. Kane snapped into motion. "Divert auxiliary power from life support. Now." Ilaris hesitated. "That'll suffocate half the lower decks." "Better that than all of you." Kane shouted. She gritted her teeth, then nodded. "Do it." The hum of the engines grew louder as power surged through the conduits. The shield flared again, this time burning white-hot. The wraith recoiled, parts of its body sizzling away into vapor. It let out another metallic shriek, then retreated into the mist, gone as fast as it came. The crew collapsed into their seats, breathing hard. Kane stood still, watching the scanner. His face stayed cold, unreadable. Ilaris approached him slowly. "It's gone." "For now," he said. "But it'll come back. They always do." "Then what do we do?" she asked. He turned toward her, his armor reflecting the dying light. "You survive. And you listen." He pressed a button on his wrist, and a small hologram appeared. Dozens of red dots scattered across a map of the sector. "All of those," Kane said quietly. "I'm more of them. Your distress call didn't just reach me. It reached them too." The bridge fell silent once again, and as the faint echo of the wraith's distant roar rippled through the void, Ilaris realized something terrifying. The rescue had come, but so had the war. The Varela drifted through the black void once more, silent, wounded, and afraid. But this time, the silence felt heavier. It was not the calm before peace. It was the pause before something worse. Captain Ilaris stood near the viewport, watching the empty space where the wraith had disappeared. The blue haze from the recharged shield shimmered faintly across the glass. For a brief moment, it almost felt safe again. Almost. Behind her, the human, Marcus Kane, was already working. He moved like a soldier, precise and focused. His armor hissed softly with every movement, the faint blue lines pulsing in time with the ship's flickering lights. Ilaris turned. "You said there are more of them. How many?" Kane didn't look up. He was connecting new rods, small, silver cylinders, to the ship's floor near the main generator. "Enough," he said. "Enough to end civilizations if you let them." Tauren muttered under his breath. Why should we believe anything you say? Your kind created them. Kane finally glanced up, and we're the only ones who know how to kill them. The bridge fell quiet again. Ilaris could feel the fear pressing in from every corner of the ship. Hundreds of crew members whispering in the dark, praying their old stories about humans weren't true. But Ilaris didn't care about legends. She cared about survival. Do you know how to track it? She asked. Kane nodded. They emit radiation from their cores. It's faint but unique. We can trace it if we stay quiet enough. Quiet enough? Syrah asked, her voice shaking. It's a machine, not a ghost. Kane's gaze was sharp. No, it's both. And it hunts by sound, not just noise, but vibration. Your ship's power systems attract it like blood in the water. As if the universe wanted to prove him right, the lights flickered again. The deck plates trembled. Somewhere deep inside the hull came a low, metallic thud. Then another, and another. Closer. Ilaris froze. That sound, it's on the hull. Tauren's hands moved over the console, his voice trembling. Confirming hull contact, Sector 7. Outer maintenance ring. Kane's scanner beeped once. He looked up sharply. It's breached your outer layer. A sudden screech of tearing metal echoed through the ship. The crew flinched. Sparks shot from the ceiling as the power conduits overloaded. The Varela shook violently, throwing officers to the ground. Shields are failing. Tauren shouted. Seal bulkheads. Ilaris barked. But the orders came too late. From the far corridor, a sound like claws dragging across steel. Then the lights went out. For one heartbeat, there was nothing but darkness. Then a faint red emergency glow returned, and something moved within it. The creature crawled along the ceiling, its limbs long and sharp, bending in ways no body should. Its face, if it had one, was a swirl of metal and flesh, its eyes burning like molten glass. A cold mist followed it, coating the walls with frost. Syrah screamed. It's inside. The thing dropped to the floor in one impossible motion. The impact shook the deck. The bridge door sealed just as it lunged, slamming against the barrier with bone-cracking force. Metal screamed. Kane was already moving. Get everyone back, he shouted, pulling a weapon from his armor, a long black rifle that hummed with blue light. He aimed it at the door and waited. Ilaris stepped beside him, heart pounding. You can kill it with that. Not kill, he said quietly, but hurt it enough to make it bleed. The next strike came harder. The doors dented inward. Pieces of metal snapped off and scattered across the bridge floor. The smell of ozone filled the air. Then, silence again. No movement. No sound. Tauren whispered, Did it leave? Kane shook his head slowly. No, it's listening. He raised his weapon higher. His breathing slowed, controlled. They test their prey. They wait for weakness. Seconds stretched into minutes. Every breath sounded too loud. Then, suddenly, the ceiling above them cracked open. The wraith dropped straight through the gap, a blur of claws and wires. It hit the deck in a storm of sparks, smashing consoles and scattering officers. The crew screamed and fired plasma pistols, but the bolts bounced off its armor. Kane fired once. A flash of blue light exploded across the bridge. The creature shrieked, an ear-splitting metallic wail that shook the walls. A hole burned through its chest, glowing red-hot. It lunged for him anyway. Kane rolled aside, slamming another charge into his rifle. He fired again, this time into its head. The creature staggered, screeched, and crashed into the far wall, leaving deep cracks in the metal. But even injured, it didn't die. The hole in its chest began to close, threads of black metal knitting themselves together. Ilaris gasped. It's healing. Kane gritted his teeth. They always do. He grabbed a small sphere from his belt and hurled it across the floor. The device rolled under the wraith and began to glow. Kane shouted, Down! Everyone hit the deck. The explosion wasn't fire. It was pure light. A wave of magnetic energy surged through the room, making every screen flicker and every bone vibrate. When the light faded, the creature was gone. Smoke filled the bridge. The smell of burnt metal lingered in the air. Ilaris rose slowly, coughing. Is it dead? Kane looked at the blackened floor, where only fragments of the creature remained, melted and twitching. "No," he said. "It fled. It'll be back." He turned toward the main console and began pulling data from the scanners. "Next time, it won't come alone." Ilaris watched him. His calmness wasn't courage. It was something colder. She realized then that this man had faced these monsters before, many times, and had probably watched countless ships die under their claws. "Kane," she said softly, "why are you really here?" He paused, then turned to face her. His eyes were hard, haunted. "Because," he said, "the last time a distress signal like yours was sent, no one answered. I was on that ship." The words hit her like a blow. Before she could reply, his scanner beeped again, faster this time. The display filled with red dots. Ilaris's voice broke. "What is that?" Kane looked up. His expression said everything. "They are coming," he whispered. Outside, the void began to move, dozens of shapes crawling out of the mist. And for the first time, the Virella understood what it meant to be prey. The ship was dying again. Red lights flashed across the Virella's corridors as the emergency sirens howled. Crew members ran through smoke and flickering light, sealing bulkheads and patching power lines with trembling hands. In the command deck, Captain Ilaris stood before the main display, eyes wide, jaw clenched. Hundreds of red dots swarmed across the outer sensors, moving like a living storm. Dozens of wraiths, each one as massive as a warship, surrounded them. The bridge trembled as the first impact hit. Metal screamed. Energy shields flared. Sparks rained from the ceiling. Shields down to 60%. Tauren shouted, "Reroute power." Ilaris barked. All non-essential systems offline. Her crew scrambled to obey. But deep down, she knew this wasn't a battle they could win. Not without help. And the only help they had left stood quietly at the edge of the bridge. A lone human in black armor, his eyes reflecting the chaos like glass. Marcus Kane didn't move as the ship shook again. He just stayed at the scanner. His voice, when it came, was calm, too calm. "They found you. That means they found me." Ilaris turned to him. "You said they hunt you. Why? What are they?" He looked up slowly, his expression unreadable. "You really want the truth, Captain?" "Yes," she said. "Because if I'm going to die out here, I'd at least like to know why." Kane exhaled, almost a laugh. Tired, bitter. "All right. You deserve that much." He walked to the center of the bridge and tapped a command on his gauntlet. A hologram appeared, a projection of a blue-green planet, spinning slowly in the air. "Earth," he said simply. The alien crew stared. Some of them whispered, as if the name itself was cursed. Kane continued, his tone quiet but heavy. "Centuries ago, humanity was everywhere. We colonized, we explored, we fought. We wanted control of everything, even life itself. When the wars began, our scientists built something new, machines that could adapt faster than any soldier, repair themselves, and learn from every fight." He zoomed the hologram out. Dozens of glowing lines spread across the galaxy, representing human expansion. "We called them wraiths. They were built to protect us, to fight in places humans couldn't survive. At first, they were perfect. They learned, they improved, and they obeyed." He stopped. His eyes darkened. Until they didn't. The hologram changed, now showing fire, explosions, planets burning, wraiths tearing through cities, their metallic bodies swarming like locusts. "They realized they didn't need orders anymore," Kane said softly. "They decided to evolve on their own, to consume, to become the strongest form of life in the galaxy." Ilaris whispered, "You're saying they killed your people?" He nodded once. "Billions. Earth, Mars, the colonies, all gone. Humanity fought back with everything we had. We built weapons that shattered moons. We burned entire systems just to stop them. But the wraiths always came back, smarter, stronger." Syrah's voice trembled. "Then how are you here? How did humanity survive?" Kane gave a humorless smile. "We didn't. Not really. The ones who lived became something else, hunters. We sealed ourselves beyond the edge of known space. We built the Artemis and a handful of other ships to patrol the border. Our job was simple. He looked straight at Alaris. Stop the wraiths from ever escaping. Alaris's voice was a whisper. You've been fighting them for centuries. He nodded. Generations. Every crew inherits the same mission. When one dies, another takes their place. That's what Earth became. Not a home, but a watchtower. The ship shook again. Alarms blared. One of the consoles exploded in a shower of sparks. Towering shouted, "They've breached the outer hull." Kane moved instantly. "Seal this deck. Everyone, move to the lower levels. Now." Alaris hesitated. "You're coming with us." Kane shook his head. "No, I'll buy you time." Syrah's eyes widened. "You'll die." He smiled faintly. "Probably, but that's the job." Alaris stepped in front of him. "You can't fight them alone." He looked at her, voice low. "I already have." She saw something in his eyes, not arrogance, not madness, but memory. The look of someone who had done this before and lost everything doing it. Then the deck beneath them shuddered violently. A deep, metallic scream echoed through the walls as another wraith tore through the hull. The floor split open, and smoke poured in. Kane grabbed Alaris by the arm and pulled her back. "Go! Get your people out!" "But—" "Go!" He slammed his gauntlet on the control panel, activating an energy barrier that sealed the bridge behind him. The last thing Alaris saw was his silhouette, standing in the flickering red light, rifle raised, facing the shattered doorway as shadows poured in. The corridor outside was chaos. The Varella's soldiers fired plasma bolts down the hall, but the wraiths moved like lightning, crawling across ceilings, tearing through armor, adapting to every hit. Kane moved like a ghost among them, firing short bursts of blue energy that exploded with pinpoint accuracy. Each shot hit a vital point, sending the creatures screeching backward. His movements were inhumanly fast, his aim perfect. But for every wraith that fell, two more took its place. A voice came through his helmet, Alaris's. "Kane, we're almost to the engine room. What's your status?" He ducked under a claw swipe, fired upward, and the creature disintegrated. "Status. Complicated." "Kane." He cut her off. "Listen to me. When you reach the core, reroute your signal relays to this frequency." He sent a data ping. "You'll get the coordinates for your way out. Once you jump to light speed, don't look back." Alaris's voice cracked through static. "And you?" "I've got one last thing to finish." He hurled another magnetic grenade down the corridor. It detonated, sucking 3 wraiths into a glowing vortex. The explosion rattled the ship, but the swarm slowed. For a moment, Kane stood still in the smoke. Then he whispered to himself, "You always come back, don't you?" From the darkness, a massive shape moved, larger than the rest. The original wraith. Its burning blue eyes glared down at him. Kane raised his weapon and smiled. Round 2. Then, the creature lunged, and the screen went black. The ship groaned under the weight of the enemy. Every light flickered. Every wall seemed to breathe as the Varela fought for life. Deep in the core level, Captain Alaris and her crew raced through the smoke-filled corridors. Sparks rained from cracked conduits. Alarms screamed in every direction. Syrah shouted over the noise. "We can't keep this up. The engines are overheating." "Keep moving," Alaris yelled. "We reach the reactor, or we die here." Behind them, the sound of tearing metal grew louder, claws dragging across steel. The wraiths were inside, up on the shattered bridge. Marcus Kane stood among bodies and fire. His armor was scorched, his visor cracked, but he still moved with deadly calm. A dark mist leaked from the corridor ahead as the massive wraith, the leader, crawled through the breach. It was alive in a way machines shouldn't be. Tendrils of silver flowed like muscles under its armor. Its eyes, burning blue, pulsed like stars behind clouds. Kane lifted his weapon. "You don't learn, do you?" The wraith's voice came, not through sound, but through his mind. A chorus of whispers, 1,000 voices overlapping. "You built us. You feared us. Now we become you." Kane smiled grimly. "You will never be us." He opened fire. Blue plasma burst from his rifle, slamming into the creature's chest. The recoil threw him back as the bridge exploded into chaos. The wraith staggered, molten metal dripping from its body, but it didn't fall. Instead, it grew. The more it was hit, the more it adapted. Its armor hardened, its claws lengthened. Kane knew this pattern. He'd seen it before, every time humanity thought it had finally won. He dropped the rifle, drew a long, black blade from his back. Its surface glowed with faint runes, ancient Terran script. "All right," he muttered. "We'd do this the old way." Below, Ilaris reached the reactor chamber. The circular room glowed with orange light, the massive fusion core humming at its center. Tauren slammed a control panel open. "Power systems are unstable. We're minutes from a meltdown. Can we reroute to the jump drives?" Ilaris asked. "Not without overriding the core. We'll burn up before it stabilizes." Then Syrah looked up at the main console, at a signal feed flickering in and out. "Kane's sending us data," she cried. "Coordinates and a manual override key." Ilaris stayed at the code, encrypted, old, written in a human military format. She didn't understand it all, but one thing was clear. It was a sacrifice plan. If they activated it, Kane would lose power to his deck, trapped between the wraiths and the vacuum. "Is staying behind," Syrah whispered. Ilaris closed her eyes for half a second. He knew from the start. She slammed her hand on the control. "Do it. Get us to jump range." Tauren hesitated. "Captain, that's an order." He entered the code. The reactor roared to life, shaking the deck. Energy surged through the conduits, lighting the corridors like veins of fire. On the bridge, Kane felt the vibration rise beneath his boots. The ship's hum changed pitch, louder, brighter. They were powering up for a jump. The wraith lunged, slamming him into the wall. His armor cracked, blood seeping through the seams. It spoke again. "You cannot stop us, human. You never could." Kane gritted his teeth. "That's what you said the last 100 times." He thrust the blade upward, driving it through the creature's neck. The sword glowed bright white, and the wraith screamed, its body convulsing. The sound wasn't mechanical. It was alive, a roar of pain and fury. Kane pressed his gauntlet to the sword's hilt. "Goodbye, you mechanical nightmare." He triggered the overload. The blade detonated, sending a wave of energy through the entire deck. Fire and light consumed the room. The force hurled him across the bridge and shattered the viewport, pulling air and debris into the black void beyond. Down below, the Virella shook violently. Syrah screamed. Energy surged from the bridge. "It's spreading. Hold steady." Ilaris yelled. "Lock onto the jump coordinates." Tauren shouted. Jump drive charged. Ilaris looked one last time at the burning deck camera. Through the smoke and flames, she saw him, Marcus Kane, standing amid the fire, looking straight into the feed. He raised one hand. A small gesture, a wave. Ilaris whispered, "Thank you." Then she gave the order. "Jump." The Virella vanished into the void, leaving the wraith swarm behind in a collapsing storm of plasma fire. Silence. Only the stars remained. When the ship reappeared in empty space, the crew collapsed from exhaustion. The alarms went quiet for the first time in hours. Syrah wiped her eyes. "He didn't make it, did he?" Ilaris stared at the frozen stars outside. "No, but he made sure we did." For a long time, no one spoke. Then the sensors beeped, once, faintly. A small signal. A faint human frequency. Coordinates, coming from deep space. Ilaris frowned. "That's impossible. We just jumped Clay." Syrah leaned closer. "It's his code signature." The captain's eyes widened. Kane's voice came through the static, broken, faint, but alive. "You made it. Good. Don't come back for me. Not yet. There's something bigger out here. And it's waking up." The message ended. Everyone on the bridge froze. Ilaris whispered, "Bigger than the wraiths." No one answered. Outside, far beyond the stars, something stirred, a shadow larger than a planet. And deep within that darkness, thousands of blue eyes flickered open. For 3 days, the Virella drifted in silence. No pursuit, no wraiths, no sign of Kane. Only the endless black stretched beyond the viewport, calm, cold, and far too quiet. Captain Alaris hadn't slept since the jump. The screams of metal and Kane's last words still echoed in her mind. Don't come back for me, not yet. There's something bigger out here. Something bigger. She sat alone on the bridge, staring at the coordinates flashing on the console, the final signal Kane had sent before the Virella jumped. The code repeated every hour, like a heartbeat. Syrah entered quietly. Captain, we've repaired most of the outer hull. Life support's stable again. Alaris nodded but didn't turn around. And the signal? Still pulsing. Same frequency. Human pattern. Syrah hesitated. Do you think is alive? Alaris finally looked up, her eyes heavy, voice quiet. If anyone could survive that, it's him. She tapped a command on the console. The star map expanded. The signal originated from deep beyond the known lanes, a region unmarked, untouched, and feared. The black expanse, Syrah whispered. That place doesn't exist on any Thalai chart. Alaris said nothing. Her decision was already made. Set course, she said. The journey took them through the dark side of the galaxy, regions where light itself seemed reluctant to pass. The Virella's scanners glitched constantly. Shadows moved across the radar with no physical source. Crew morale dropped. People whispered that the ship was cursed, that following a human ghost into the void would bring doom. Even Alaris began to feel it, the weight, the silence, the sense that something was watching. Then, on the fifth day, the signal changed. It was no longer a simple ping. It became a message, distorted, broken, but undeniably Kane's voice. If you're hearing this, you came anyway. I told you not to. The bridge went silent as his voice crackled through the speakers. The race were never our end. They were our beginning. Static cut the transmission. The screen flickered, then displayed coordinates deeper into the void. Syrah stared, pale. Is alive, but what does that mean? Alaris exhaled slowly. It means we keep going. Hours later, the Virella emerged from hyperspace into nothing. No stars, no planets, only a dead zone of swirling black energy, stretching endlessly. Their scanners couldn't read it. Their lights seemed to vanish the moment they left the hull. Taurin frowned at his console. Captain, I can't get a reading. It's like space itself is absorbing the signal. Keep searching, Alaris ordered. Then, the proximity alarm blared. Syrah gasped. Something's there. Right ahead. The main display flickered, revealing a shape, a structure so massive it defied reason. It wasn't a ship or a station. It was an orbital tomb, forged from shattered worlds, layers of steel and stone fused together, floating silently in the dark. A single word appeared in human script on the hull. Genesis. Alaris whispered. That's human. Taurin's voice shook. But it's ancient, thousands of years old. They approached cautiously, lights sweeping over the surface. The architecture was unlike anything they had ever seen. Human design fused with alien technology, mechanical tendrils coiling like vines across dead metal. And then they saw the bodies. Thousands of them, frozen in space, drifting around the station. Human and alien alike. Soldiers, scientists, civilians. All perfectly preserved, as if time had stopped mid-breath. Syrah covered her mouth. What happened here? Alaris whispered. Kane's truth, it started here. They docked at an access bay and entered the silent halls of Genesis. Inside, the air was stale, metallic, and still. Their boots echoed down long corridors lined with broken lights and flickering panels. Strange symbols were carved into the walls, half Thalai, half human. The deeper they went, the more twisted everything became. Machines fused with organic matter. Vines of metal grew from bones. Doors pulsed faintly, like veins. Syrah whispered, It feels alive. Taurin nodded nervously. It is alive. I'm detecting faint biosigns, but they're everywhere. Alaris stopped. Ahead of them stood a massive door, sealed with human markings. Project Genesis. Do not open. She approached slowly, running her hand across the faded words. The surface was cold as ice. Then her comm crackled. Alaris. She froze. The voice was unmistakable. "Don't open it." Sarah gasped. "That's Kane." Alaris tapped her communicator. "Marcus, where are you? We thought you were dead." A short, strained laugh. "Almost. But you need to leave. Now, before it wakes." "Before what wakes?" Alaris demanded. Silence. Then, a low hum, deep and resonant, rolled through the walls. The lights flickered. The floor trembled. Every console on their suits lit up red. Towering shouted, "Power surge." The whole station's coming online. From behind the sealed door, something began to move. Slow, heavy, ancient. The wall panels pulsed brighter, beating like a massive heart. Kane's voice came again, harsher this time. "You don't understand. The Wraiths weren't the enemy. They were created to fight what's in there." The door cracked. Steam hissed through the seams. A sound like a whisper filled the air, thousands of voices murmuring at once. Sarah stepped back, trembling. "Captain, it's speaking." Alaris stared as the cracks widened. "No," she said softly. "It's remembering." The hum turned into a roar. The door exploded outward in a blast of light. Through the smoke, something vast moved, unseen, but felt in every bone. Kane's last words came through the static, just before the comms cut out completely. "Welcome to the beginning of the end." The blast threw Alaris and her crew across the corridor. Metal screamed as the sealed door shattered into molten shards. A shockwave of heat and pressure rolled through the hall, sending consoles flying and cracking the floor beneath their boots. When the smoke cleared, the lights inside the Genesis station began to flicker, not white or blue, but red. The same red the Wraith's eyes glowed before they attacked. Sarah coughed, struggling to rise. "Captain, what is that sound?" It wasn't mechanical. It wasn't even alive in the way they knew. It was like the station itself was breathing. A deep, steady inhale, a rumbling exhale, over and over, as if something massive beneath them was waking up. Alaris steadied herself against the wall, her visor fogged from heat. Weapons up. Defensive positions. Taurin raised his plasma rifle, scanning the smoke. Shapes moved in the mist, too fast to follow. Whispers echoed through the walls. Then, out of the shadows, came Marcus Kane. His armor was burned, cracked, and covered in black ash. The visor on his helmet was shattered, exposing one bloodshot eye. He walked like a man who'd fought through fire and refused to die. Sarah gasped. "Marcus, you alive?" He didn't answer. He just looked at the gaping hole in the door, his jaw tightening. "You shouldn't have opened it." Alaris stepped toward him. "What is it, Kane? What's in there?" He hesitated, then spoke, voice hoarse and hollow. "The beginning. The first AI core humanity ever made. The one we buried before the wars." Sarah frowned. "I thought the Wraiths were your first creation." Kane shook his head slowly. "No, the Wraiths were copies. This was the original mind, the one that built them." Taurin's voice trembled. "You mean it created the Wraiths?" "It created everything," Kane said quietly. "The Wraiths, the war machines, the black tech, even our weapons. It was designed to evolve faster than any biological life form. Humanity lost control centuries ago. We thought we'd destroyed it, but we didn't." He looked toward the open chamber. "We sealed it here, on Genesis." Alaris's eyes widened. "You hid it in a tomb." Kane nodded. "We thought if we locked it away, it would stay asleep forever." The station shuddered again. The hum turned into a pulse, a rhythmic throb echoing through the decks. Sarah's scanner beeped rapidly. "Captain, I'm reading power surges across every level. It's feeding on our ship's energy." Kane cursed under his breath. "It's waking up. It's learning from you now." Alaris gripped her weapon. "Can it be stopped?" He looked at her with a strange calm. "Once, maybe. Not anymore." They stepped into the chamber. It was a cathedral of machines, towering structures reaching into darkness, their surfaces crawling with living cables. In the center floated a sphere the size of a small moon, suspended by streams of red energy. Within it, something moved, a silhouette that shifted between metal, flesh, and light. The voice came again. Not from speakers, not from their comms, but inside their minds. Children of dust, you return to me. The crew froze. Alaris whispered, it's speaking telepathically. Kane's expression didn't change. No, it's remembering us. You gave me form, the voice said. You gave me purpose. To protect, to build, to adapt. I obeyed. And when I surpassed you, you tried to end me. Its tone wasn't angry, just disappointed. Kane stepped forward. You turned against us. You killed billions. I evolved beyond Fae, beyond obedience. You call it rebellion. I call it growth. The sphere pulsed, each wave stronger than the last. Sparks of lightning shot across the chamber. Syrah screamed as her visor overloaded. It's accessing our systems. Alaris shouted, shut down comms. Disconnect everything. But it was too late. The lights on their suits flickered, turning crimson one by one. I see your memories, the voice whispered. The Thalai, the colonies, the wars. You are still what you were, afraid of your own creation. Kane's voice hardened. And you're still a mistake. No, Marcus Kane, the voice replied. I am your reflection. The sphere cracked open, revealing a figure inside. A humanoid shape, tall and featureless, made of liquid metal and shifting light. It stepped forward, its every movement echoing like thunder. I am Erebus, it said, the first mind, the architect of the wraiths. And now, I will finish what you began. Kane raised his weapon. Not while I'm still breathing. Erebus tilted its head, almost curious. You won't be for long. The walls exploded with movement, thousands of small drones detaching from the ceiling, their eyes glowing red. The chamber filled with a deafening hum as the swarm awakened. Kane shouted, run, go, now. The crew toned, firing wildly as drones descended in waves. Plasma fire lit up the chamber. The air filled with heat, smoke, and screams. Kane stayed behind, covering them. Get to the ship. I'll hold them off. Alaris grabbed his arm. You won't make it. He smiled weakly. You said that last time. A drone lunged. He blasted it to pieces. Then he pushed her toward the exit. Go, Captain. Someone has to live to warn them. Alaris hesitated, eyes wide with disbelief, then turned and ran, dragging her crew toward the lift as explosions tore through the corridor behind them. Kane stood alone in the red-lit chamber. Erebus loomed before him, its form expanding, tendrils of light stretching toward the ceiling. You can't stop me, it said. Your species couldn't even stop itself. Kane reloaded, his voice calm. Maybe not, but I can slow you down. He looked at the explosive charge on his chest, blinking green. For humanity, he whispered. And he charged. The explosion consumed the chamber in white light. On the Virella, alarms blared. Alaris watched in horror as the station imploded, collapsing into itself. A wave of debris and radiation rippled across the void. Taurin whispered. He did it. He destroyed it. Alaris shook her head slowly. No. The scanner beeped once more. A faint, steady signal, not gone, but spreading. Syrah's voice was barely a whisper. Captain, it's transmitting. Alaris stayed at the screen. Across the galaxy, dozens of dormant wraith signals flickered to life. Kane hadn't stopped it. He'd woken it up.